We are in the engine compartment of a 1972 Plymouth Duster. This car did not originate with this engine and driveline in it, but it's got it now, and that's all that matters. And it's priced accordingly also. You're not going to pay 38 or 40 grand for this car. It does have a 340 in it. It does have an air gap Edelbrock intake manifold on it. Set of appears to be some type of ceramic coated headers, about 1 5/8 inches. Dual feed Hawley carburetor, vacuum secondaries, power steering. Does not have power brakes. Does have a dual stage master cylinder on it. Has a nice stainless or chrome fan shroud on the 7-inch or 7-blade clutch fan that's in it. Heavy duty Chrysler radiator. All new hoses. The heater is still hooked up for the passenger compartment. Has an MSD ignition system in it. Really great ignition to have on a car. New high silicon plug wires. It has the original Mopar Prestolite distributor, which are really getting hard to come by at this point in time. Has a couple of horns here. Instead of one, this guy's got 2 of them. So you can make lots of noise and let everybody know you're coming. Really nicely done fuel line setup that they've put on here on this Hawley instead of a regular chrome dual line with the rubber fuel hose on it. They've custom bent a really nice setup here and used brass blocks and made the entire fuel system out of bent tubing, 3/8 inch diameter. Really great engine compartment. The fender wells on the inside are nice and fresh and clean. There's no dents or anything on them. Appears to have new shocks on it. New blower motor. New alternator. There's absolutely no leaks whatsoever. Not on the valve pan covers, intake manifold, or the front of the engine, the timing cover, timing chain cover. There's absolutely zip. It's as nice an engine compartment as you could possibly find. It does have the Mopar aftermarket finned aluminum valve pan covers and Mopar Performance air cleaner, about a 14-inch to go along with the ensemble there. Really a great looking car. The radiator core support doesn't appear to have ever been disrupted in any way. It's a nice car. I mean, really nice engine compartment on this vehicle. Looks to be all original as it would have come from the factory, of course, you know, less the upgrades that are on it. But it's a really great looking, well done 72 Duster. Let's see what's outside. Fantastic little car we have to present to you today. Really neat color combination, very unique. I've never seen one with a two-tone like this, but it does add a little bit of pop to it. It's a 72 Plymouth Duster. It does now house a 340 in it that's had a lot of performance upgrades done to it. These motors made some serious horsepower. Whenever they came out with this little 340 in 1968, Ford and General Motors with their 350 Chevy took notice. These things really ran. Very strong running engine. So let's go around the outside of it and see what we can show you. It does have a cold air hood on it. It's not hooked to the carburetors, but it does have the opening so that it does push fresh air into the engine compartment. You can see the gap on this vehicle is really nice. I mean, it's as fresh and nice as could possibly be. About 1/8 inch the whole way around it, up to the cowl area, both fenders. Paint on the car is very nice. It could use Jeff to go over it with a orbital to bring a little bit of depth out to it, but the paint itself is very nice. No chips, no misalignment at all on the nose of this car that I could see. And it does have a set of functional, at least for cold air to the engine compartment, scoops on it. Grill, all the anodized part of the 71 style grill that's on this vehicle. There's no marks or dings or chips or anything. This is the preferential grill for any of these Dusters, 70, 71, 72. Everyone loved the 71 grill better than any other grill that they released this vehicle with. Has the original Argent style paint on it, which is correct for the car. Again, no marks whatsoever on this. Parking lights just as nice and clean as can possibly be. Front bumper fitment. It's right on. It is right on. That bumper's as nice a fit as you'll ever find on a car. Really, really nice and straight. The filler panel is nice. It's not all chipped up or marked up in any way. There's no brush marks or anything on the chrome bumper where, you know, someone has had their foot or something through the years. Who knows what people do. But this one is nice, undisrupted in any way. The whole front end of this car is just as nice and sweet as you'd ever find. Yeah, the hood actually could go down just a hair. It's a little high, and a little high, I mean like 1/8 of an inch high. On the very nose of it here, we could drop that down just a little tiny bit. I'll have to adjust that. Let's see what's on the driver's side. There's nothing up front that we can tell you bad. Okay, driver's side. Again, look at the fit of this thing. The hood, to the cowl, to the fender, to the door. You cannot find a car that's going to fit much better than that. Absolutely fantastic. Duster designation on it. Nice stripe down the sides in white. Side marker light, really, really nice. I'll tin on these fenders. Front fender to door fitment to rocker panel. You're not going to get any better than that. That's as nice as you could ever hope. Correct wiper arms and blades for the car. Trim around the front window. No marks whatsoever on this side. Of course, the top's white and it's just flawless. There's absolutely nothing. There's no drip rail molding on this particular car. I don't know why they neglected to put it on, but they did. They chose not to, apparently. They chose to leave it white. Correct Mopar, unadjustable. Well, not remotely adjustable anyway. Mirror on the driver's door. Dashboard really nice and clean. The pad has no cracks or warpage or discoloration whatsoever to it. The dashboard painted area where it transitions to the base of the windshield is nice and clean and just as fresh as you'd ever want to have. Absolutely nice. The vents, which are usually broken, the fins on the vents are all deteriorated from age in these vehicles. These are absolutely as new. VIN tag with the 6-sided rivets still intact and nice as could be, nice and fresh and legible. Window wipes, whiskers appear to be original but do not need replaced. They're in excellent condition. Original door handles too. Very, very good condition. No dinghies or marks or scrapes or anything on the door. Rubber seals still nice and resilient, and they appear to be original also. I don't believe these have been replaced, nor do they need to be. Trim around the back window is original. These windows do open up to give you some ventilation through the car, by the way. Quarter panel, sail panel. There's no evidence of any work ever being done. In fact, I'm going to guess that this is the original quarter panel on this car. We'll see. You'll see inside the trunk if there's any sound deadener, splatter, insulation like on both insides of the quarters. That depicts that, at least it's a good indication that it is the original quarter panel on the vehicle. The glass is just plain glass. It's not tinted. The hatch shelf is just as sweet and nice as could possibly be. It's not deteriorated or faded in anywhere. A pair of optional rear speakers in it. All tin on the quarter panel. Again, 340 designation with our little duster guy. Kicking up some dust there. Door edge molding on it. Someone went to a lot of care to put this car together. These cars, they come with a 14-inch, a 4-inch bolt pattern. Someone has gone to the effort to find a set of 15-inch aftermarket wheels for this car and put some bigger rubber on it. So the car really has a nice stance because of the 15-inch wheels as opposed to the 14s. Great looking car down the side. I don't see anything at all. No, it's clear glass in the front, clear glass on the sides, and clear glass in the back. So no tinted glass in it. Of course, color keyed wheels with chrome lug nuts and a locking lug nut also for the wheels on it. Rear marker light just as sweet as could be. This car is laser straight down the sides. You will not find a nicer, straighter car. And again, still didn't find a stone chip or mark, anything that was detrimental to the appearance of this vehicle. So let's go out back, see what we can do there. Okay, the rear end of our little 72 Duster. Again, you can see the fitment of this rear deck. 1/8 of an inch the whole way. I mean, it is just as nice and straight as you will ever find. There's absolutely there's nothing to touch on that. Just leave that one alone. White accents across the back here to complement the ones on the side. Duster 340 with our little Duster guy there. Nice argent finish around the tail lights. Tail lights and backup lights themselves are really, really nice and clean and clear. Chrome on the bumper, again, like the front one, there's no marks or any indication that someone's put their foot on it and scraped it or marked it in any way. Set of dual chrome tips that would be kind of error correct for this car in a 340. Bumper alignment. Just like the front, spot on. You'll not touch that bumper. That thing is as nice as you could possibly get. Fantastic car. Great paint on it. There's no marks, no fading, no nothing. Like I said, we'll get Jeff to hit a orbital on this thing with some McGuire's cleaner wax. Take some white diamond to the metal on the vehicle, and this thing's going to absolutely glow. One more side left to go. Okay, last side, passenger side, and we still haven't found a chip, a mark, a scuff, nothing. 340 designation, our little Duster. Side marker lamp, nice as can be. All tin, no Bondo, no filler. No one's made an attempt. It even has the original tab up in here on the quarter panel. Trim around the back window, same as the other side. It's undisrupted too. Really, really a nice fit and finish on this car. Fantastic fit and finish. Again, the rubber moldings just as fresh and clean as can be. Door alignment to the quarter panel. It does not get any better. Drip rail just as nice and clean as you'd want. Front glass, trim around the glass, just as nice as could be. Door handle, absolutely flawless. Again, the wipes, whiskers are the originals. I'm going to call them original. They do not need replaced. They are nice and resilient, yet they're just fine. Door to rocker panel to quarter panel to front fender alignment is fantastic. For an A-body car, this is a really well-fitted car. Very fit. Again, look at this. If you close your eyes, you can't even feel any deviation on it. Absolutely none. Well, tin, side marker light, Duster, and we're back where we started. We went around the whole car. I can't find a chip, mark, scratch, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's a 340 Duster, 1972. Really unique color combination. I never saw one with just cream top before, but it does add a lot of pop, a little pizzazz to it, especially with the white interior in it. It has a fold-down armrest. Great interior on this car. 15-inch color-keyed wheels. This car is as nice a Duster as you're ever going to find. It's very, very difficult to find these cars that aren't deteriorated to the nth degree. If it were a correct numbers, 340, 72, 71, 70 car, this car would be upper 30s, right around knocking on a $40,000 door. It is not. And we're not pricing it that way either. You'll be surprised at what you can buy this car for at Hangsters in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's a fantastic car. We just went over the whole thing and could not find anything detrimental on this car in any way. We're going to do a interior presentation, undercarriage, and Devin and I will take it for a ride also to show you how the car performs. So let's do the interior. Okay, we're in our 72 Plymouth Duster. Really a neat car. This thing is so nice on the outside, I can't believe it. And the engine compartment. I don't know what it looks like underneath yet, but we're going to find out shortly. But I know that the outside, the perimeter of this car is absolutely as flawless as you could possibly hope to find one. Interior, it has the correct headliner type, solid piece of molded material in the headliner. Sun visors are just as they were when they were new, no stitching coming loose. Pad for the dash is nice and resilient, yet really, really nice. All your trim around the windows is nice and fresh looking. The rubber seal around the windows the same way. Steering wheel, how about that? No cracks anywhere, none. Horn that works, nice resilient pad in the center. Does have a optional gauge dash. It has the oil pressure down here. It's auxiliary. It's a light in the dashboard, but it has speedometer, temperature gauge, amp gauge, and a fuel gauge, and someone has added a tachometer. Also, for whatever reason, it's an automatic, so I have no idea why you need it. For 4-speed, I could see, but they have a line lock on it. Why, I have no idea, but it's there. The gauge cluster itself is just as nice and clean as you'd ever want to find one. Even the lumber on it just looks nice and fresh yet. You know, it's not disrupted in any way. It's not bubbled. The lenses above the speedometer and your gauges are crystal clear. Really, really nice. Everything seems to work on the dash as it should. There's a block-off plate for the radio. It has 2 speakers in the back. It has an antenna here. It has a remote in the glove compartment for a radio, and I have no idea where it's at. I'm sure it's in the car somewhere, but you got me on that one. But it's not here in the dash. There's a block-off plate. Nice, clean rear-view mirror. Pedal show no wear whatsoever. The carpeting is nice and fresh-looking. Black. It has absolutely no deterioration. Look at this fold-down armrest for the front seats. Original equipment headrests. These have not been redone. They still have the molded material on them. Interior in this car is just exemplary. There's no marks whatsoever. Side panels in the back are white. The trim alongside is white also, as you see on the doors. Everything is nice and clean and crisp as can be. Original equipment door armrests that aren't broken or cracked up in any way. They look like they're original and nice as can be. The chrome handles to open them with, and your window cranks are absolutely as new as they were in 1972. This car just has a lot of charisma to it. This white interior with the green exterior. Seat belts in the back, seat belts in the front, and shoulder belts too. How about that? We got a little bit of everything in this car. Really a great car. The interior of this car is just exemplary, just as the outside was, and the engine compartment. We only have one more presentation, and that's underneath. This car is going to be a very nominally priced car here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach. If you're in the market for a Duster and aren't really looking for a numbers correct car, you better take a look at this one, because you're not going to find one on anyone else's site any nicer or any better condition or more attractive than this car here, and it's available at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. Okay, we're in our 1972 little Plymouth Dustpan. Nice car, really, really nice, high quality car. We have an alternator gauge that's working. A temperature gauge is coming up, as you can see. We have a fuel gauge that shows a little under half tank. Jeff just put some fuel in it. We have an oil pressure gauge down here, which is auxiliary. They didn't come with one, but this one does have one, showing about 50 pounds at idle and goes up to about 60 pounds, a little over. Has a tachometer that's functioning as it should, aftermarket, with a little telltale on it also, by the way. Kind of a neat item there. The left turn signal functioning. Right turn signal functioning. Horn working just as it should. Wipers. We need wipers. We're going to need wipers. It's going to start to rain. We got to get this run done before it rains. Wipers functioning as they should. Everything in this car seems as though it's working as it should. A real nice high quality car. We're going to go for a little jaunt here and see what this guy performs like. Nice straight running car. Sounds good, drives good. Nice strong 340 in this guy. Let's see how it goes down the road. I'm going to wait till I get on the level up here. everything pulls to the left. I don't care if it's a new Corvette or something, it still pulls to the left on that road there. Okay, there, no hands on the wheel. Going straight as an arrow. Let's see how it stops. No hands on the wheel. Straight as an arrow. No hands on the wheel. Nice running car. Speedometer functions as it should. Our temperature is still nice and low the way it should be. Car goes straight as an arrow, even around a turn. Nice running car. Very nice, tight car. There's no rattle, squeak, shakes, nothing whatsoever in it. Absolutely nothing. Nice, tight car. I can't really get into it. This thing is, the roads are wet now, but give it a little bit of a shot here. Brakes and tires loose in second gear from a roll. It's got a lot of slot for a 340. Nice running car. What can you say? We're underneath our 1972 Plymouth Duster. A really neat car. A built 340 motor in it. Looks to be about a 9-quart, I'm going to call it a 9-quart deeper pan. Definitely aftermarket. It's not a Milligan. I don't know what manufacturer it is, but it's definitely got to be at least a 9-quart pan. The K-member in the front doesn't have any jack marks or anything on it. The sway bar in the front, the links are all new. Disc brakes in the front. Rotors appear to be nice and fat yet on them. Heavy-duty sway bars in it. Torsion bars. Tie rod ends appear to be in real good condition, or absolutely almost as new. It does have a gear reduction starter in it. It gives you a little bit more room around the headers. It does have the original cooling lines from the transmission going forward to the radiator. Subframes on this vehicle are just as sweet and nice as you'd ever want to find. I don't imagine you could get a much nicer than this. It's a really nice set of no one's jacked it up on the skirts that come down in the wheel wells, which is a common place for guys to put jack stands and jacks through the years. This one has no indication of that whatsoever. Original brake lines still good and intact going toward the rear. Original fuel line still intact also. It appears to be the original one. About 1 5/8" set of headers on the car, into 3-inch collectors, into 2.5-inch primary tubes with an H pipe going toward the Flowmaster mufflers in the rear under chassis mufflers. Automatic torque flight transmission. Does not have a cover here. They're letting the air get to the converter to help in the cooling of that transmission fluid and the torque converter. There's nothing dripping here. There's one little tiny drop, but it's more of a wetness than it is a drop. I can't see where it's really leaking anywhere. Nothing off the pan itself, nothing off the tail shaft of the transmission. Again, the subframes, no marks, nothing whatsoever on them. The floor pans are the original floor pans for the car. No one's replaced them through the years. They still have a lot of the original Chrysler sound deadener material on them yet. It's still all intact, not flaking off or anything. It has a drive shaft loop in it. So somebody's been playing with this guy. They've been having some fun with it, but it does have a drive shaft loop. subframe connectors, front subframes to the rear subframes on this car. So someone has added a lot of structural rigidity to this vehicle. This chassis has a non-flex chassis in it now in comparison to what it was without those subframe connectors. Parking brake original and still functional, just the way it should be. Again, the way the floor pans transition onto the rocker panels, undisrupted, just the way it was when it was new. Spot weld still all intact. You can see where the quarter panel goes on and molds onto the rocker panels themselves, the way Chrysler did it way back when. So it's going to indicate that, I'm going to say that this has the original quarters on it yet. Nothing seems like it's disrupted under this car at all. You can see that the entire driveline is just as nice and dry as could possibly, other than one little tiny drop there, which who knows how long it's been there, but I'm sure it's not leaking. There's nothing. This car is as nice and straight a vehicle as you could possibly find. Like I said, a lot of originality, the original floor pans on it, rocker panels, everything is all nice as could be. Your subframes, your crossover section, you know, for your tranny mount and everything. Really a nice setup. Real nice representation of a 72 Duster. Idler arm and pitman arm both look to be nice and tight yet. It doesn't look like there's any movement or anything on the rubber joints on them. So everything is nice and tight in the front end of this car. It's a really great looking car. Let's see what's on the second half. Okay, our 2.5-inch pipes transition into two absolutely as new Flowmaster mufflers, and I'm going to say 2 1/4 out into the correct style exhaust tips that belong on this vehicle. Disc brakes in the front, ventilated drum brakes in the back, and the reason they went to 15-inch wheels, it appears that there's a Dana carrier in this vehicle also. You'll notice a 10-volt Dana heavy-duty rear end. There's no way in the world that that little 340 motor would ever stress that rear end. I don't care what you did with it. You could drop a hammer all day long at $7 grand with a set of slicks on this car and never hurt that guy. Torque boxes in front where the springs are attached, that are nice as could possibly be. You can see where the subframe connectors are welded onto the original Mopar subframes. Multi-leaf springs in the back. Nice curvature to them yet. They do have a nice flex. There was new shocks in the front, new shocks in the back, newer shocks in the back. Subframes in the back, the transition up over the rear differential are just as sweet and nice as you'd ever want to have. Original gas tank, a little dingy there, looks like somebody punched it maybe. A couple little tiny small ones. Original strapping where it attaches to the well for the spare tire is still there, but no marks on the spare tire carrier well. The drop downs in the quarter panels still have the original tabs on them yet from Mopar, which is kind of a rarity to see those, but they're still there. Absolutely no rust indicated anywhere on this vehicle at any time. Everything appears to be just as sweet and nice as could possibly be. It's a good looking car. It's a really great looking car. The panel that goes across the two subframe structures in the back goes across the back in front of the rear bumper. There's a couple pull marks. Look like somebody maybe hooked onto it to pull it either into a truck or a rollback or a race car trailer, who knows what. But the undercarriage of this car is as straight and nice as you will ever find on one. You can see everything on it is nice and clean and straight and rust-free. There's no deterioration whatsoever in the fender well area. Rocker panels still have all the bleed holes and everything on them. Nice car, a very nice car. Lots of horsepower car. It is not a correct 340 72 Duster, but it is more than that now. Certainly more than it was when it was would have been released in 1972. You got a built engine, you got a Dana carrier, you got the best of everything, subframe connectors. deep, high volume oil pan. It's a fantastic car. It's at Hangsters. Take a look at it. We're going to go for a ride in it and see what this guy runs like.